G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enna here from Fantasy Take TV. Today we'll be going through my BBL Supercoach team for BBL 12, I believe it is. A competition I've fallen a little bit out of love with over the years, sort of as it goes on, but into its 12th season, which is pretty remarkable. But in early days, I was quite a big fan growing up of the T20 when it sort of first burst onto the scene. And I think every year I've still been getting sucked into making a BBL Supercoach team. It does feel good to be back on the Supercoach website as well. The AFL Supercoach Gold, or for those that have it, picker should be out fairly soon. But I will go through my BBL team and look, before I even say anything, there's only an hour or so till lockout, or the first match. You can still make some changes throughout round one as it is with the AFL. But do join the Discord if you want to get in and get involved. There's a lot of people talking there, as it sort of has been the last few summers, especially about the BBL. It's still quite popular, and the Supercoach format. I'll go through my team. You probably already know if you're watching this or are playing this game, of the sort of fixtures and how it sort of works. I do play a bit of FPL, so with the double game weeks and buys that are around, sort of familiar with that sort of format. I'm not too great at BBL, to be honest. A lot of new players around that I haven't taken too much notice of and all that sort of thing. But, there are a few people in Discord that help me out, and obviously you can do a bit of research. But there are three teams with a double in the first week: the Strikers, Stars, and the Thunder, and the Stars and Thunder kick off tonight. So you'll see a few of them in my team in a second. And then the Thunder also have a double next week, whereas the Stars go into a bye. So you got to sort of strategize around that. There are a lot of doubles really early on, and then it sort of just evens out, and a lot of teams, just have no doubles, no buys, sort of for the rest of the way, with a few mixed in along the way. But sort of early on, obviously you want to plan for sort of the first probably 3 or 4 rounds, I'd say. So yeah, those teams have a double early on, and the Scorchers have a bye into a double next week. So to be honest, my team pretty much features all the teams that have a double this week, and then some Scorchers that I'm carrying through into next week. Look, we don't know full lineups and teams yet, and there's still a bit in the air, so this won't be final, but I'll just get into it before I waste any more time, really. And for the goalkeepers, I was initially having Joe Clark in my goalkeeper line, but I'm actually going to stick with probably the most common combination I can't really see, or, about 20% owned. Gilks is, and then Inglis is about 30%. So probably, I would say, the most common combination that people have, where you play Gilks this week or Gilks, and whether you play him next week or not, you can sort of decide on. You can bring Inglis on, and he has his double. So we'll see sort of how Gilks goes this game week or round, and then if you want to play him next week, you can, or you can bench him and play Inglis, or if you have a sort of a wicketkeeper on your bat line, you can just swap him to there and play all three. But yeah, that's what I'm going with at the moment. We'll see how Gilks goes. I'll get to how I'm lining up at the end once I save the team with all the loopholes. In the batting line, I've gone, I might as well filter it to save myself some time, but to the Strikers, the Stars, and the Thunder. But I've got Matt Short, who had that phenomenal season last year. I did play BBL. I think I quit halfway through, but did still notice how well he was doing with the bat, and then chimed in with some wickets with the ball as well. He does open the batting and bowl a few little tweakers here and there, usually early on, and then maybe, depending how he goes, get some more overs. But he usually bowls 1 or 2 and maybe more, and he's shot his price up to almost 200k to start this year. And look, he's someone that I'll own just for this week, and probably flick next week to a Scorcher and use all his cash up there. There is something I'll talk about that I might do with him later as well. Sam's the next guy who just, bats, in the middle order and bowls sort of at the death. Look, he's a maligned player, but he's a really good option for Supercoach. So I'm going to stick with him. And then the Sanger man, whenever I've watched BBL, watch the Thunder, I do like the way he goes about it, and he can bowl as well. So we're not totally sure whether that's going to happen, and maybe once we see the lineups closer to the fixture tonight, probably already out by the time you see this, we'll know what the Thunder are looking like, and I might change him depending, but I think I'm still going to stick with him as sort of not a punt, but a higher priced sort of a punt to start the year, 16% owned compared to Sam's, who's 60, for instance. Joey Clark is one man that I know a lot about, only because I did bet quite a bit on him last year, and he had a really good end of last season. Did start slow, but he was doing really well towards the back end, and I think he had about 400 runs last BBL season. So again, he's a 1 week punt. will make way out of my team next week for a Scorchers player, but he's on the higher pricey side, so I don't mind him only because he's one of the lower owned guys. He's still about 20 odd percent, but he is one of the lower owned guys. And then Hales, I think, he is in a lot of teams at about 50%, and rightly so. Is at a good price at 130, and is obviously bats up the order for the Thunder, and has had some good recent success in the BBL. I'll get to the bench later. I'll just finish out the bowling line where I think everyone and every man and the dog will have Rashid Khan, 66%. With a double in week one, it probably should be more. Then I've got Trent Bolt, who is, again, pretty pricey, but for the sort of week one double for the Stars, he's someone that I can just not take a punt on per se, but go with. He's obviously a very proven international bowler in all formats, but can just be made way for a Scorchers player next week and use his cash there. The rest to finish out my team, I do have Faruqi, who there was a little bit of question marks over his sort of not availability, but his selection in the team, just because of obviously the 3 international rules. But Kadir, who was the spinner, isn't in the squad to sort of begin with, so he seems pretty safe there. And hopefully, obviously, the plan is to get out of all our Thunder players 4 games across their 2 doubles to open the season. So hopefully Faruqi can play all of them. Then I finish with a couple more Stars bowlers, which isn't the greatest strategy maybe because just of how sort of poor they are. But I think Zampa is a no-brainer, one of the best sort of short form spinners in world cricket. And then Luke Wood, who I don't know much about, if anything, besides the fact that he's a pommy coming across. And he's pretty cheap, so he's should hopefully bowl at the death. That is the word, and then we'll just take that price against hopefully a tail end of the Thunder tonight. But that's how I'm looking, and then I've got enough cash to sort of fill out my bench. I've obviously got Inglis. I really was having a lot more Perth players on my bench, but I've sort of gone away from that to where I'll be able to trade, like I said, Joe Clark, Bolt, Zampa, probably Wood as well with a boost. Maybe hold on to one, and then probably instead trade Matt Short because he's a lot of cash held up in him. So I'll probably hold on to one Stars player. I'll make that 2 because one of my men on the bench, on the batting bench, has to be Marcus Stoinis at his price. So I have the ability here to loop probably him tonight, and then my plan I'll get to at the end if all goes well is I could possibly downgrade Short to a couple other players or sort of get more Perth players in, depending how they go. I will probably loop Luke Wood as well, or Faruqi. I'm undecided yet, but one of those. And then the other man on my bench here is, where is he? Cameron Bancroft. So, look, he will bat in the top 3, whether he opens or bats at 3, not too sure. But he will play. And look, he's not got the gloves Inglis does, but he is batting up high up the order, and he is pretty cheap. So another sort of cheaper punt for Perth to guarantee yourself at least another double game week player next week. And then on the bowling bench, I've got actually a loop Cooper Connolly, who is the cheapest sort of loop player with DPP, who you can swap between both lines, and then he also is playing for Perth, obviously, or is a Perth player who play very late in a lot of rounds, Perth. So because of their sort of bye to begin with, it just ends up where the BBL rounds work. They're either playing second last or last most weeks that I was looking at. So he sort of fits as the best loop option to carry out throughout the season. And then this leaves enough money, and if anyone from the I've got the filters on, from the Discord is watching, you'll know probably who's going here. But looking ahead to the double in Game Week 3 that the Heat have, they sort of have a weird start to the season where they have one game, then a bye, and then a double. So, someone who's probably I'm going to be carrying through is Kuhneman, the left-arm spinner, who, is not on the fringes of that team, but hopefully in that double game week just plays those 2 games. That's all I'll need him for. He can just sit on my bench in round 1 and in his bye next week until then. And then as sort of the rounds go, obviously you hold the Thunder players through the 2 weeks. The Stars players will become Perth Scorchers players. And then those Thunder players will become a few Brisbane Heat players, depending how well they're going. There isn't the greatest options at that team, but the fact that I can just carry Kuhneman through that and have an extra one there and not have to worry about trading him in, I think this works well with the budget I've pretty much got left. So I am paying up for a lot of players in this team. I didn't initially have it that way. I sort of had it more spread around. I didn't have a Matt Short in there. I don't think I even had a Sanger in there either, and I sort of had Clark in the keeper line over Gilks, and just sort of had more cash spread around and more expensive Scorchers players on the bench, like an Agar or a Ty. But I just think I've gone with the hype, the primos for round one. I'm going to trade all those Stars players and probably use a boost to, your Agars, your Ties, and probably a couple of batsmen or two like Lith or whatever. We'll get to that at a later date, but that's how I'm looking. So I think my idea here that I had in my head was to loop Wood and loop Stoinis, provided how they play. I could downgrade Matt Short if I wanted to, and my initial plan was I could go Short down to De Grandhomme for strikers, and if Wood didn't go too great, I could also just upgrade Kuhnemann to a higher Perth Scorchers player on my bench to carry through, or I could upgrade Connolly to a higher Scorchers player. Sorry, there's a few things you can do throughout the round, obviously. So pending how those Stars boys go tonight, Stoinis is going to be sliding down the order, is the word. So whether or not he's as good of an option as in the past, opening the batting and bowling, he's not going to be as good as he obviously was in those seasons. But last year, obviously, he was injured and didn't bowl pretty much at all. So this is why he's at a good price. He is moving down the order, but he is going to be bowling as well. So it's sort of cancels each other out. So anyway, we'll see how he goes tonight, and Wood. Maybe for a rookie, but probably Wood, and then we'll make a call there. I can obviously spread some cash around, and then obviously actually I will loop Gilks as well. That was my other option. Say Gilks does fail with the bat tonight, I can make a call where I also spread some Matt Short money or someone to either a Felipe or someone like that, or even like a Matty Wade or someone like that, who can maybe get a better score out of if he does really fail with the bat tonight. But anyway, that's as much effort I've put into BBL probably my entire life. So I hope you appreciate the video. But do join the Discord. That's where most of the the members are going to be talking and whatnot, and I'll do my best to maintain throughout the season. Probably not the videos, I'll be honest. I am going away for a period of time, but I will definitely be either tweeting or being in that chat at various points. So do join up. I will leave a league code in the Discord chat as well for tonight. So if you want to get in board, get in quick. There's a few flying around in there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if I've got anything wrong. Probably do, because this is really my forte, but I am giving it a crack again this year. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like 80. Pulling out the coupe at the light.